Hello, hello, everyone. Hello, guess what day it is? It is Thursday. Well, no, it is not only Thursday, it is Thanksgiving Thursday. And here you are on another episode of the Question Live Show with your host, Verona Willis-Brown. Yes, we are here again. And it is so beautiful to have each and every one of you that show up here today. Remember, when you show up, you're not only showing up for yourself, you're showing up for your family, you're showing up for your community, and you're showing up for generations to come. Here, I ask that you bring your work in progress, your book, and whatever is it that you are building so we can build together, create together, grow together, but most of all, support each other. Because when we support each other, we will go stronger. When we support each other, we define success. And success, my dear, cannot be defined by one person. Success is you and I working together. Because when we work together, oh, what a better place it will be. And we are here to replenish the earth. And as we replenish the earth, I ask you, find someone to work with so you, absolutely, you can define success. Now, tonight, we are going to go into a journey. But before we do that, you see, I saw something today and it said it's 4:20. But of course it's 4:20. It's April 20. And they said, oh, it's smoky. So I did smoky eyes today. Can you see my smoky eyes today? Yes, smoky eyes, whatever. Okay, so for those of you who are tuning in for the very first time, I like to acknowledge my first timers. Because first timers, they do get special welcome. Yes. So if this is your first time tuning in, seeing me, hearing me, and all that good stuff, type in the comment section that it's your first time so we can welcome you. Great, great, great. Now, if it's not your first time, I would like to welcome you back to another episode. And in light of Autism Month, acceptance, awareness, acknowledgement, we are going to have a mother story tonight. Okay, so with that said, now, first timers, we do have rules here. Yes, house rules. Whether it is 1, 2, 3.5, maybe 4 rules, very simple. Don't you worry. They're simple. If you are looking at me right now and you're hearing me right now and you're seeing live somewhere on your screen, simply mean you are in the live audience. And if you are in the live audience, look somewhere again if you see the share button. And if you see the share button, click it and share it. Now, when you share, you're going to invite someone else to come on in the live audience because life is like getting real, fresh food out of your oven or off your stove. Your mama cooking? Yes. So you want to share live. Now, if you don't share live and someone else going to watch us after we are finished, then that's like leftovers. Now, do you want leftovers? No. Even though sometimes some leftovers do taste good. But that's beside the point. Share, somebody could learn. Share. That's rule number 1. Rule number 2 is very simple as well. You grab yourself something to write with, whether it is a pen, a pencil, a marker, a crayon, a piece of feather. Wherever you get enough feather, it don't matter. A feather. But to get a feather, you need some paint, dip it in the paint, and scribble. But while you're doing that, you need a piece of paper or you need a notebook. Now, you must be wondering, why am I telling you that? But before you do that, if you don't have those, get yourself your devices. Somewhere in your devices, they have a notepad section. Use it up. Why am I saying this? Because here on the Question Live Show, we drop juicy contents and golden nuggets. And I encourage you to write them down. It's like extracting your thoughts out of your head and putting them on a piece of paper so they can become reality. So let's go. That is rule number 2. Rule number 3 is what? Grab yourself something to drink. Whether it is water, wine, tea, juice, soda, whatever it is that you drink, it don't matter. Just grab yourself something to drink. And when you do, just put in the comment section again, what is it that you are drinking? Me? I have water. Why? Because I believe in miracles. And Jesus is the best miracle worker because he turned water into wine. My water might just turn into wine. You never know. But whatever the case is, just let me know what is it that you are drinking. Now, what is the last one? If you need to go to the bathroom, whether your bathroom is to the right or to the left, go now. Yes, go now. And when you go, you're going to come right back. You're going to have your seat, sit back, relax. And when you come back, remember, that is your seat. It is reserved. Like the seat of life, your seat is reserved. So guess what's going to happen? No one can take it unless you hand it over. And why would you want to do that? That is where your destiny lies. No one take your seat. So you don't give up your gifts, your talent, your destiny, your purpose. Good. For those of you who don't need to use the bathroom, there. And we're here and we're sitting down and we're waiting. Let us know that tonight is just going to be our night. While we wait for those to come back from the bathroom, if you are ready, type in the comment section that you are ready so we can roll into tonight's episode. Type in the comment section that you are ready. So while you're doing that, while you're typing, we'll just wait for those who went to the bathroom. Yes, go ahead and type in that you are ready so we can go into tonight's episode. Thank you. Those are the rules. See, I told you they were simple. Very simple. So let's go. I see we have a few audience here. I will acknowledge them in just a few. So while we are waiting and while we are doing all of that stuff, and let me sip my water in the meantime. Sip, sip, sip. I want to introduce our guest for tonight because tonight, yes, we do have a guest for tonight. She is a mother of my sister. It is your sister. So without further ado, I will not keep on talking. I'll just bring my sister on. Who is my sister? Your sister? Our sister? Yes, Sister Jane. Welcome to the Question Live Show. How are you doing truthfully?
I'm doing good. Thank you.
Yes. So tell us where you're tuning in from and a little bit about who you are.
Okay, I am tuning in from Manassas, Virginia. I have a company called JB Solutions for Education. I live in Manassas with my 2 adult children and my husband. I started out life, okay, so I don't know what else to say, but yeah, I run a company called JB Solutions for Education. We do IEP advocacy, homeschooling curriculum, tutoring, and help people who have children that are not speaking develop communication. Thank you for asking me to come. Hello. Now you're on mute.
Mute. So there you are. Thank you for being here. Thank you for accepting the invitation. I want to, before we go any further, I want to celebrate you. I want to celebrate you as a woman. I want to celebrate you as a wife. I want to celebrate you for running a school. I want to celebrate you for what you are out there doing. Because it's the things that you are doing is why we are here replenishing the earth. We were born to serve. We were born to serve not only ourselves, we were born to serve each other. Because the more we serve each other is the more we give support. That is the sole purpose of man, is to serve each other. Each one serve one, that allow us the opportunity to ignite something inside of us, because many of the times we don't know our purpose, but as we serve, we will discover it. So again, thank you for accepting the invitation as you come on here tonight. So before we go any further, I want to recognize, I see in the audience, Yasmin, welcome back. Hey, 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 Chris Jensen, welcome, 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 welcome. Grab yourself something to drink, Chris, because it's what we do here. We drink. We drink on this show. Yes, we do. We drink on this show. So good. So you mentioned that you have a school.
Mm-mm. I have a company called JB Solutions for Education.
Oh, JB.
Mm-hmm.
And what does JB stand for?
Jane Brobbey.
Oh, Jane Brobbey. Of dog. I would think so. Look, oh, it could be stand for a lot of things. But
Oh yeah, well yeah, and so we help parents with
Mhm.
IEP advocacy. Those we help them help set up homeschools. We help them with tutoring. We help them with curriculums.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. So, in the light of Autism Month, you have a son. That's
Yes,
that is,
my younger son has autism. Hmm.
how old is your younger son?
He's 21.
21. So he's an adult.
Yeah.
Okay. At 21, what support have you gotten since? Before you answer that question, before you answer that, at what age did he went on the spectrum? Because you know they go by spectrum. At
He
what
was
age he was
approximately two and
taken?
a half. He was anywhere between 2.5 and 3.
Very early.
Yeah, he wasn't because he wasn't talking. He wasn't talking. And so we started taking him around to people. Um, one problem was he had a lot of fluid in his ears, but that didn't help. We got that out, but it didn't help the talking. Um, and then he was diagnosed back in 2004, and he started special needs preschool. And that wasn't much help either. He kind of regressed after he got there. The few words that he was saying, he lost.
Wow.
Yeah. They weren't that, and you got to remember, this was 20 years ago. They
Yes.
weren't that skilled then.
Yes.
I hope they're doing a better job now. It's been a long journey. But yeah, that's where he went. And they're supposed to test you before you go to kindergarten. And they came to us and said, well, we think he's ID. He's testing below a 70. But they had no test then, and they have no test now to test a nonverbal person to see what their IQ actually is.
Really?
No. And we're standing and saying, well, how did you do it? And it's like, well, so it's kind of a guessing thing. And then they said, so they just kind of labeled him for the rest of the time that he was in the school system as having ID.
Wow. So they basically just observing and just make a decision. And I think that is so judging. I mean, you could not talk and nothing is wrong with you. You just don't want to talk. Right? And you could talk and something is wrong with you. You just talk too much. There's no such thing as talk too much. You just go. So when you sit and you misjudge, and audience, please pay attention. When you misjudge somebody before their time, you are limiting them. You are putting a cap on them. You are putting in what society call a box, a category.
Mm-hmm.
There's no box in life. There's no box. And we got to get out of this system where we're talking about in the box or outside of the box. There's no box. Because now when you put me in a box, you're going to look at me. The perception towards me is going to be based on that box. Now your son was 2.5.
The problem it wasn't his brain. It's his muscles. the the muscles can't get out the words.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's not that he's not thinking, he's thinking.
We're all going to be thinking, no matter what. Look,
Thinking, and they say, well, he's not thinking because he's not talking.
no, 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 because we all got the brain to think. It doesn't matter whether you're on one spectrum. Look, we all on a spectrum. It doesn't matter what spectrum you're on. Our brain, we are going to use it, and our brain is for thinking, and we are going to be thinking because thoughts is a part of our DNA. Thoughts are a part of our DNA. Thoughts are what make us up.
This we're still working on the speech, but these muscles,
Mm-hmm.
And at that time when he was first diagnosed, it was even harder because he couldn't get the
words out. The brain wasn't
from
coming
the brain to the mouth or the fingers to do sign language. Yeah, so that, but muscles, and oftentimes I'll see things on Facebook. Parents are complaining that their children haven't become potty trained, and what they don't understand is the muscles down there.
Yes.
It takes a longer time to train them.
Yeah,
it's not a maturity thing. And you need to give them time.
Time is always a factor. I say this over and over.
But people are in such a hurry because they see things. Oh well, my 1.5-year-old is trained, or he's singing in the choir.
Making comparison. You see, that's where we fail. That's where we fail. We make comparison. We're competing, and we have to learn to know that we have to go at our own pace. Right?
Exactly.
We have to go at our own pace.
We all develop differently.
Yes. So what support have you gotten since, he's 21 at this point? How have your support system been throughout the years?
Well, throughout the years, it wasn't the best. The schools, the first school when he, after I told you they said he was ID and we got into a fight about that. I said, you put him in an autism classroom, because my dad used to run a psychiatric or something like that, mental health children's unit. So he said, no, I see autism. I don't see ID. So he knew, so we went based on that. And I told him, I said, he's autistic, and he had a lot of medical problems. I said, so I know he's struggling to catch up because of these medical issues.
Yes.
We need time to work on them before you just slap them with this label.
Yes.
So we did manage to get him into a kindergarten that was autism based. And that was because they're little, they were more willing to work with them. And that was pretty good. And then, but for, I'd say about at least the first 10 years, it was just me and my husband struggling because there weren't any, there weren't many resources out there at that time. There weren't any support groups. There wasn't any Facebook. You can call up. Let me get on Facebook and ask this question.
Yes.
It wasn't there. You were on your own to figure it out, But after he got to about 10, I started meeting people. And also another thing was, we keep going back to this, paint everybody with a paintbrush. When he walked into preschool as a non-speaker, they just gave him this notebook with a bunch of pictures on it, and said, this is where you're going to learn, this is where you're going to learn how to get things,
Wow.
And the sad thing about that notebook was that he didn't like it. I was always picking them pictures up off the floor. So my point is, come up with something else. This isn't him, and they don't do that. Everything's a paintbrush, and so, we moved on. He eventually left the elementary school because he had a really bad day, and it was obvious they weren't paying any attention to him. They called me up and said he's upset, and I got there and he was in pain, and he was just physically hurting himself, and the only they weren't trying to figure out what might be causing him pain. They were just trying to keep him from hurting himself.
Wow.
So I looked at the situation and I said, he looks horrible. So he went in homebound for the rest of the year, and then they sent him to the special needs special needs school.
Yes.
And that one was really, really good. And you could walk into that building, and it was just like the teachers and administrators, they cared about these kids. You could just feel it when you
That
walk
makes
through
a
the door.
difference.
Well, that only lasted 2 years because they shut the school down.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no.
It had a lot of construction problems.
Yeah.
And so the attorney general said, you guys got to fix this building. So he had to go back to regular public school, where they had an isolated classroom. And that he went there for 2 years, and that was a disaster.
Again.
And then by now he's up to high school age, 9th grade.
Yes.
And they tell me that they're bringing people from the special needs school that remembered him. And everybody's happy because he remembers them, and he has an aide that he remembered, and people he had worked with before.
Yeah.
And so he got there, and 9th grade was great, And he did very well in Employ, which is Prince William's vocational program.
Nice.
Employ, well, he did great in it, and he was having not too many behaviors, and it was going great.
Nice.
We got to 10th grade. They pulled him out of Employ. They claimed he had too many behaviors during the summer, and they weren't going to be willing to work with him anymore in that. Maybe next year.
Goodness.
Yeah. And they took the aide away too. And the vice principal of special needs and the other guy, a special needs person, came into that classroom and harassed him and that teacher every day.
Yes.
And so my husband and I said, he's not happy. We have to think of something else now.
Yes. Listen, that's what we got to do.
Yeah, it was just, and they took the aide away. I think I told you that. So,
yes.
I don't know. It was just like, I was like, what'd you do this? I don't know. But they could have made accommodations for the employee. I could have gone. I could have gotten somebody, something they could have done, but they weren't willing to make the accommodations, And so, he went back to regular school. No, he left. But during that time, he was learning how to read. I don't know how. I was pressurizing him when he was in middle school. I was like, you need to teach him how to read and write and do multiple, add and subtract and stuff.
Yes.
And so this is where people sometimes get caught up. So meanwhile, I put these words on my refrigerator that foods he liked, no pictures.
Yeah.
So he'd go and point to what he wanted to eat. And so I brought ABA came in and they said, no, he can't read these words. And I said, but he's eating these things when he asks for them. And so what I realized was he could, now see, this is where you have to think outside the box. Well, it took me a while to understand this. At that time, he could only read if it was like this. He couldn't read if it was flat on the table. He could not.
Oh, so it got to be at height.
It had to be like this for him. And that's why he could read them on the refrigerator. And they didn't understand that, yet they called themselves specialists, So sometimes, hello, oops.
No, go ahead. We can hear you.
So sometimes you have to work with these specialists, to make sure they really understand. And when you sign up for ABA specialists or speech specialists or PTs and all these people, ask them, how much experience do you have? Make sure that they are experienced and they're not using your child as a guinea pig.
Yes.
Because sometimes they don't know. Right. They just don't have the experience. Or they haven't been taught. It's not that they're not nice people and they don't care. They just don't have the experience. So, that's how that went. And then, and one thing I found out, that another reason we decided to pull him out of there and decided to homeschool him was because, I would drop him off and I would pick him up after like 2 hours for some appointment or something. And one day I got up there and he was just hysterical. And I was like, nobody could tell me why he was upset, because when I dropped him off, he was very calm. So look for little things, And what I didn't realize was that until he developed a communication system, that this lady that brought him down to aid, he feels, and he still says to this day, this lady was harassing him, this aide. And
Really?
you're laughing.
Like I'm laughing out of just like.
And he was very upset,
Oh
but
my God.
he had no way of telling us,
Wow.
because I would have done something, but I didn't know,
Right.
So after that in November, the school system here has a big special needs thing. Mm-hmm. And I went to this presentation called Spelling to Communicate. Because remember, my son was not talking. The only thing he knew was to point to yes or no at that time.
What age was this where he was still not talking?
10th grade. He's not talking. He doesn't talk.
So at this age, so he's 21, so he's still not talking?
Mm-mm. No.
Oh. So how do you communicate with him at this point?
Right. So I went to this Spelling to Communicate presentation.
Spelling to Communicate, okay.
And I said, and I'm sitting there, and I raised my hand and said, lady, I said, look, my son is 15 years old. He can't spell these words that you're going on about.
Right.
And she said, he can spell them. He's 15.
There you go.
I'm telling you, he can spell. He can read. And I'm sitting there by myself. My son didn't come with me, but she's insisting that he can spell. I'm like, I don't think so.
I love it. Look, before you even go any further, I could tell you straight up, words are powerful. And if you keep on saying that he can't do something, that's exactly what's going to magnetize to his brain. So she said he can, that's it. Continue. Yes.
So that was in November. So I looked around, I found a provider for him that I could afford and I could take him to, once a week. And we got there, and this lady pulls out this letter board, and he's pointing all these letters, spelling all these words, and I'm sitting up there like, because remember, the school system has been telling me all these years that he's not functioning. He's not functioning. That's what they kept telling me.
There you go.
He's going to go sit he's going to leave this school system and sit for the rest of his life. Yes. And they kept telling me, so I believed them.
Yes, they convince you, and they convince you that he's limited. They convince you that he cannot do something. They convince you as the mother. Yes, they did. And that is so sad. Audience, listen, that is very sad that when society dictates to us, we absorb it so fast. So fast. And we forget that we are the first teacher of our children. We are the first teacher.
Mm-hmm. And so I'm sitting there, where did you learn all,
There you go.
She had some long words for him to spell. It wasn't like, she pulled out some stuff. And I was like.
And he wrote what he had to do. He had to write them down?
He had to point to the letters.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. That's what they taught him how to use what they call a letter board.
Okay.
And he would point to the letters, spelling the words out.
Yes. And
so, of course, once he got back to school, he was going to school, and he would, the behaviors got worse because he's like, I know this stuff and these people aren't teaching me nothing.
There you go.
So we talked to the school. We said, okay, I decided I wasn't going to go. Some parents go and fight for this to say, you need to use this letter board with my child because he can use it.
Yes.
And I decided just to keep working with him. So I was teaching him at home, and he was taking these classes during the week, and, he continued it. And it's, he uses that system right now.
Excellent. It's called a letter board.
It's called a letter board. He's got one on an iPad where it speaks for him once he types the words, So he's learning with it. He's doing algebra. He's writing papers. He can read. He's trying to finish up his stuff for his diploma. That's what he said he wanted. After they said they wouldn't do vocational with him, he said, "Well, I'm just getting my diploma."
Listen, I made it this far. Give me something.
Yeah. So he hopes to move on and get at least an associate's degree. I'm very proud of him.
I'm just sitting there. That's being proud. Like I am feeling so proud right now. I feel so proud as if he's mine. Like I feel so proud. Like oh my God, he made it. That he wants his diploma. And look, I'm like yes, yes, ma'am. I feel like I'm his mama. And I put like mama, mama. Like when I hear those sound like mama, mommy, ma, they all relate to my heart. Yes, ma'am. They all touch my heart. They all, your child belongs to me, my child belongs to you. That's how I do this thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel so proud right now. Sis, I celebrate you.
Thank you.
Celebrate your persistence. I celebrate your strength. I celebrate your courage. I celebrate you just not giving up on your son because that is your son. That's your seed. Everybody don't have that persistence and that courage and that strength. But I celebrate you. I literally just like want to celebrate you, not even from my lips, from my heart. That you came 21 years. Well, let's say, 21 years. You came 21 years. Because when when God grants you something, you are responsible for it. You are the first responsible person for that seed because it's you that carry that seed. It's you. It's like having a plant in your house. I can't come to your house and water your plant. That plant is in your house. You have to water that plant. You want the plant to flourish, you have to attend to that plant. I can't just like, hey, Sister Jen, I'm coming to your house to water your plant. No, I'm not going to. I come visit you. I'm like, oh, nice plant. But it's you. It's your responsibility. And you have done excellent. You have made it this far. You have done excellent. So right now he's heading on somewhere because the thing with us, we have potential. We're born with potential. We're born with talents. We're born with gifts. We're born with all these things attached to our DNA. And if we don't tap into them, they become dormant. But because you sat there and the school system failed him. Let me say this again. The school system failed your son.
Mm-hmm.
And that by itself is the saddest thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because what happened most of the time, their teachers in classroom, that's only there for a paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
They're not there with compassion in their heart. They're not there to care. They're not there to say, let me build up a different way to get to a child because this child learned differently. They're there to collect a paycheck. And it's time that we have to change things. We cannot follow the same rhythm all the time. We cannot trot on the same ground all the time. We got to find different roads to go into different things. Teaching the same thing 20 years ago can't be the same today. It can't be effective. It should not be effective. There's no way that you're teaching something, you're implementing something from 20 years ago and expect it to apply. If a president from the first president having something written down, listen, the president right now should not be using that. I'm just saying. You have to implement things because at this point, things have to change. And how can things change? Because you have to implement something new. And if you don't implement something new, you have to work with what you have and expand it. It's simple. It is very simple. But until we come to this mentality that we have to adjust things, we will not get it. Society will always fail our children because they're not making adjustment. They're just using the same method, the same system from 19, whenever that is. So I celebrate you with such great honor as a mother. I celebrate you. I celebrate you. I absolutely celebrate you. Okay, we're gonna come to your question in a minute. Tina got a question, but we're gonna get to that in a minute.
Okay, so I just want to mention I'm finishing up my book.
Listen, I in this case, I don't want to clap no more. I want to have a drink.
I can't do that.
Put it down and yes, right. Move it over to your left side, yes, that side.
Okay.
Right there. Right there.
Yeah,
Hold up.
it's on homeschooling. No more
Uh-huh.
school bus. Homeschooling made easy. And I hope it comes
Oh.
out by the 15th of May. I've been working on it for a while,
Oh.
but since homeschooling was so successful with my son,
Yes,
I want to tell people that,
that it can be done.
yeah, that if they feel that the school system is failing them or has failed them, this is an alternative.
So anyone that's out there, if you're out there and you have a child, children, community, whatever you have, and you know for sure that the school system failed your child or your children or your entire community, please, please look up for this book, because this book is coming. And when your book comes, you're going to come back on the show. You're going to talk about your book. Yes, because we need material. We cannot have the same material from 20 years ago to apply it now. We need materials. And I learned that experience is the best teacher. It's best teacher. And if you did not experience all of that, it would not inspire you to write that book.
Right. Yeah. My son would have graduated with a standard diploma, and I wouldn't be sitting here.
There you go.
I'd be working somewhere.
Yeah, there you go. Like, absolutely not. Like, no. So parents, caregivers, whoever you are out there, and you have a child that's on the spectrum, because I hate to label people. It is there, and what they're trying to say for this month is for us to accept this. Yes, I do accept this, but I still don't like to label people, because I feel I'm still putting a limitation to people. We are considered human beings, right? So I hate to, like, oh, your son is autistic. Oh, your son, I hate to put him in a limitation box. And I don't want to put no one in a limitation box, because we have to see ourselves as beautiful flowers, and we are beautiful on the planet, and everybody's just special. So when I say, oh, your son is autistic, I feel like I'm limiting him because society says that he's autistic.
Yeah, but look at all the beautiful things that autistic people are doing now.
Exactly. They're very creative. And
Not just my son, but others also are doing wonderful things.
Marvelous
You know?
job. Marvelous. Because the thing is, Sister Jane, the thing is, we as a people, everyone on this planet Earth, are co-creators of God. We are co-creators. So no matter what box society try to put you in, you're going to create. It doesn't matter what box they put you in, or they try to put you in. You are going to create. And when you see someone that's considered artistic, oh, they're geniuses. They know how to tap into their gifts. And you see, we need to learn a thing or two from them. For those of you out there, we need to learn a thing or two, because that is our thing. We have to tap into our potential. We have to go in and find those gifts and talent that tie around inside of us and untangle them. You think that only one person's a genius? All of us are geniuses. Every last one. Your son, that's 21. You, your husband, those you make connection with, all of us, Theda, Yasmin, Chris, Amina, we all are geniuses. But what happened? Sometimes we go into a lazy mode. Sometimes we go into a lazy mode. And when we create, and like, oh, he's a genius. No, he's a genius. And you are a genius too. Because it takes genius to see a genius and to acknowledge a genius. So who I see in you is who I am in myself. Yes. I see a question coming up in the chat. There's a question from Theda. She said, how can she get the letterboard?
You can purchase them. Why don't you give me a call, and I can help you to get one. I'm hoping in the fall to do a class on letterboarding.
Okay. Okay, Theda, did you get that? You can get in touch with our sister here. You're on Facebook under the same name. So she's on Facebook, on her social media. You can find her. Her name is written right there. You can find her, send her a direct message, and then she can give you all the good stuff. And again, she's coming out with her book next month. Okay, goal setting is important. She got a goal. Her book is coming out next month, I think right in time for Mother's Day.
Yeah, around that time.
All right, that's what we're talking about. Yes, that is what we're talking about. Yes, excellent. Now, what was your reaction? He was two and a half, because I like to go into.
What was my reaction when they
told me? What was
your
reaction when they told? Yes, what was your reaction when they told
you? I don't remember where I took him.
Yeah,
but the lady told me he probably had autism. 2.5 is kind of hard to tell exactly what's going to happen.
2.5, they're busy. They're busy at 2.5.
Yeah, and so I said to her, I said, "Look, ma'am, you don't understand. I don't do drugs." That was my understanding of autism. Because I was a teacher at the time, and they made us take these special ed classes, and that's what I remembered, was that people who did drugs would have children who had autism. That's what I understood. Even though and I had LD children in my class, but never autistic children in my classes. Mm-hmm. And so I said to her, I said, so I don't understand. It has to be something else. She said, no, it has nothing to do with you.
Oh boy. It's like,
it's not you. It's nothing you did. It's just something that happens. And then, a few years later, they started this vaccine stuff. So.
Yes, because I heard that part. They say it was a certain vaccine that causing.
Yeah, but I mean, it was a shock, and it was we did a lot of grieving, and I think it's hereditary. Mm. And my pediatrician, his pediatrician said, and I think it's from my side, coming from my father's side. And my pediatrician said, yeah, it usually comes through the father to the mother. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that gives me a homework to find out what is. Yeah, no, you're going to give me homework. See, people, I told you to come ready with your pencil, your paper, because see, I come ready at all times because I love to take notes. So that gives me a homework to. That's a homework. People, that's a homework. Okay, homework.
No,
to find out.
And it also might be the environment.
Right.
They when I was carrying him, they did say that his head was not proportional to his body. They couldn't tell me what that meant. Like, and he kept running all these ultrasounds. But nobody could really say what was, and so, the morning after he was born, they have a pediatrician from the hospital comes into your room.
Yes.
With the baby. And I said, is he in proportion? Is he in proportion? And
you're like, wait a minute now, let's measure this out.
And she said, and she pulled out her little tape thing. She said,
yes, no. I measured the head.
Yeah, she said it's not proportion, but he grew out of it. He doesn't look like he's out of proportion right now,
Okay.
So it's just hard to say exactly what causes it.
Yes.
Now they're saying Tylenol. Well, he was leaning on my sciatic nerve for 6 months. It was very painful. And so they told me, oh, just take this Tylenol. But nobody said to me, it might cause some issues later. So that's what I did, and I worked up until the day he was born. He was born that night.
No, see what I'm talking about? Your persistence. Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But
so at 2, when he was born, so he had 2 years because he was on the spectrum at 2.5. So within that 2 years, what was he doing within that 2 years?
Well, the first thing,
ma.
Yeah, hi, Dad. He did have a few words, but he lost them. And the one thing that I noticed was because he has an older brother.
Okay.
The first thing I noticed is that, I would wake up and he wasn't crying in the middle of the night for food.
Okay.
So I would, I got up and I went to check on him. He was sleeping in his crib at the time, and he was just lying there.
Also, he wasn't waking up at night.
His eyes were open. My older son, he wanted to eat every 4 hours.
You're like, wait a minute.
This baby would be hungry, but okay, so here we go. Communication.
All right, there we go. There we go. That's the
He
key. There you
wasn't
go.
communicating at that time.
That's the key. That's what I was waiting for. That's what I was waiting for.
Yeah, he wasn't communicating. He would lie there and just stare at the ceiling. He didn't, and I would pick him up and feed him, of course, because I knew that babies, they eat every couple hours because they're used to that until, their digestive systems develop, and then they can go longer.
Yes.
And so that was one thing. And then when he turned a year, he didn't get it, And it was like with my older son, he was all pumped and excited when he turned a year. We made a big deal out of it. But this little guy, there was no response, and he wasn't walking.
Uh-huh.
We had to get a walker, and then he started walking. Really? And we didn't know. We said, why isn't this guy walking? Well, let's try to get him a walker so he can start. And in the 15 months, he was walking. He was walking and running.
Okay.
So they, that what the pediatrician said, well, 15 months isn't that late for walking. That's what they say. And he would say, hi, Dad. And he would get on your lap and he would yell things like up and down, up and down.
Okay. So yeah.
But see, that's a repetitive movement. So that's a part of autism, repetitive movements. Up and down.
Yeah.
And he would yell up and down, up and down, up and down.
Oh my goodness.
But then he lost all those words.
By 2.5.
I don't exactly remember at what time. And then
that's very interesting, though, Sister Jane. That's very interesting because he was saying this, and I'm trying to get into that because I like to go into things. I'm trying to get into that because he was saying all these things, and somewhere he got faded.
He regressed.
Yeah. Like there was a regression.
He definitely regressed. And we didn't even know he was regressing.
Yeah, like that's very interesting because at what point did he regress? He had like that regression moment. Like what happened? Did he just like, he just like, nah, I'm taking all of that back. Because sometimes you just laugh over things, right?
It's a slow process kind of thing.
Like, bro, you
don't really see, because, he wasn't. I mean, I'm a person that, okay, if they don't make their milestones this month, they'll make them next month, or whatever. So I wasn't really watching the chart. I probably should have been. So I wasn't, until, we got, like I said, till he was like about 2 and, ooh, he's not talking.
Yeah, like what happened? Why you wait a minute now?
That's when we really got, because at the time, after he turned, we moved into this house when he was 6 months.
Okay.
And I started a preschool daycare. So he was surrounded by kids who were talking all day long.
Yes.
And he wasn't imitating anything but hi, Dad. Hi, Dad. Couldn't even get the D out,
So that's the only that's the only thing that he had programming in his brain to say.
And he lost that too.
Isn't that interesting?
Mm-hmm.
I find it to be very interesting, though.
And he can understand anything you say to him.
Hey.
Mm-hmm.
I find it, because he's born with understanding. Is that somewhere, like you mentioned earlier, somewhere the muscles of his brain is not strong enough to hold up the words to bring
the muscles of the mouth can't formulate the words.
So they're in there. They're in there. They're in there. The words are forming in there, but the muscles just like we're not strong enough to hold on to the word.
He didn't have the fine motor skills to do sign language either. But if you did sign language to him, he got it.
Okay, there you go. So he born with understanding. He got understanding. That part is not even a question. He got understanding.
It's getting from the brain.
Yes, the brain is not commanded.
Or this is basically considered the same thing. Sign language is considered the same thing as talking.
Yes.
So it's getting, and the preschool teacher and I got into a big fight because she didn't want to teach him sign language.
I beg your pardon.
No, she didn't. Oh, it was a hassle.
Wow.
So like I said, we've been through it, but and that wasn't what she did.
Wow.
You know, and part of the problem was that they didn't have the skills to really work with these kids, and they should have
That's
said
very
something.
important. That's very important.
Yeah, they didn't have the skills to
Skill
teach
set.
these kids really what they needed.
The
You know,
skill set is very important because for you not to only have communication, but effective communication. Effective communication. Because at some point, if you're teaching a child to say A, B, C, and they're not getting it, you got to find another method for them to say A. Did they say A? Okay, you got A. Let's go to B. Yay! Let's go over to the next one.
and the speech teacher that they had at the preschool was some old was some old lady,
That
and
was not
she
even teaching nothing.
no, she wasn't doing nothing, and people were online complaining about her. They had this online thing where parents email thing at that time because
Right.
we had
Email was the
preschool,
thing.
yeah, and parents were eating her alive on that thing, so they got rid of it. So there goes our support system.
Oh my God.
And we didn't have a support system in this county for about 5 years. And then they started to develop another one, you know, where you could go and talk to other parents and get help.
Wow. And 5 years without support is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a drought.
Especially with parents who are suffering,
Yes.
who need
That's a drought.
support. You know, like I
They need
said,
support.
the first 10 years, it was just me and my husband trying to figure out what do we do? How do we help him?
Yeah.
Which is the main question. How do we help this child? And there wasn't a lot of information out there. And so the reason I started JB Solutions for Education was because I realized after talking to, because also other thing my son took for quite a few years was CBD oil.
Uh-huh.
And that, I'll be honest with you, that really opened up his brain.
Listen, keep on using it, sister.
He's not using it now, but
you got to see what works for you. And that is the whole thing. Whatever works for you, you take it and you expand on it. Because if you sit there and you're like, okay, let's try this. Okay, this is not working. Let's try this. This is working. Stay with this. You see, a person who is successful, I'm going to show you something. A person right now who is considered successful, because we are all successful, but in different ways. What the person does, the person, okay, let's use Serena Williams, tennis player. Serena knows darn well how to play tennis, right? And what is she doing? She put every emphasis on playing tennis. So she's doing a damn good job out there because she's focusing on whatever sit that she can do so well. Whatever you can do well, pour into it, pour into it, pour into it, and let it expand.
so, but that's what I wanted to, that's why I started JP Solutions for Education.
Yeah.
Because I just want to support other parents
Yes.
and help them in their journey with this autism stuff, especially, and special needs too.
Yes.
Because there's also ADHD out there.
Yes.
You know? And I know a lot of parents whose children have ADHD and the school system wouldn't give them any support. So, you know, but I just, you know, I looked at it and people started telling me, I started telling my story. People said, you know what? You have a lot to say. You've been through a lot. You should help other people, you know. So that's how I got into this.
For 10 years, you had nothing to say to nobody. So yes, so you please go ahead and say it. For 10 years, it was just you and your husband. So for those 10 years, let out everything. Yes, please. At this point, he's 21. He's 21. And I want to celebrate him as well. He's 21. How do you teach him self-acceptance, self-love, self-motivation? Like, how do you teach him this? Because he's 21. He's an adult.
He's an adult. It's tough.
Yes. He's an adult. I mean,
and he was what was he doing? He was answering some, oh yeah. I answered some, he and I answered some questions for a lady writing a book on autism. And one of the questions was, how has this autism affected your life? And he typed up that it's holding, I wish I could, you know, the question was, what is one of the hardest things in your life or something like that. And he said, this autism, I wish I'd get rid of it because it's just holding me back.
Really?
He typed that out. Yeah, he does.
So at this point, his fingers are strong enough to type.
Oh yeah,
All right, so
he
good.
can feed himself and all that kind of stuff. He's not. Yeah. Oh yeah. But my point is, that's what he's thinking these days.
That's the autism.
I wish I could get rid because it's a continual struggle. You know, he still struggles with regulation.
Yeah.
He has diet issues. Excuse me. Like he can't, and then the worst part was he can't tolerate corn.
Well, don't feed him that. Don't feed him that.
It's in everything.
Yeah, but try to as much as possible to eliminate that.
We have to. Yeah, we do. Yeah. We do.
Wait, go. Pause for a second. Give me his sentence again. He said, give me the sentence that he answered. What was the question that they asked him and he answered it? Give me that question again. Give me that answer again. He said that he don't want to tolerate.
What would you change in your life? I think, or something like that. I have to look it up. But what would you change in your life? And he said, I would get rid of this autism.
I would. Okay. Pause
because it is in my way.
Pause right there. I will, because I want to write something down right here.
Yeah. What would you get rid of if you could? I think that was the question. And I think she's working, you know, he said, I would get rid of this autism because it's in my way. It's holding me back.
You see, that's a full sentence right there.
Oh, yeah, he can write complete sentences.
Yeah. No. That's a full sentence right there. And that goes for anyone. Not only your son. He would get rid of autism because it is in his way. And I like to look at things on the opposite side. I like to come back on the reverse. It is in his way. So many times we go through life and things are in our way. But what is it and how is it that we are going to get over that hump? It is up to our mindset. It is how we put ourselves in position to get over that hump of what is in our way. Whether we are considered autistic or not, something is always in our way. But it's an individual thing. It's an individual thing. And when something is individual, once we have support and once we come to terms that we are not alone, that very thing can become minimal. Mm-hmm. It can become minimal. He knows that is holding him back. And we as people know what is holding us back. So whatever spectrum we are on, something is always trying to hold us back.
Well, he says his faith is what got him through that last year.
Mm-hmm. So his faith is programming in his mind. God gave you this child, sister. God gave you this child. God never gave me this child. God gave you this child. Because God knew you can handle this. God gave you this child and God gave him the potential. God gave him something special because God kept him for 21 years for him to come and write this. That something is holding him back. But I'm going to tell you this as a sister, and I'm going to tell you this as a mother. And I'm going to tell you this as a woman. And I'm going to tell you this as a woman of God. That nothing beats faith. Nothing beats putting God first. Nothing beats prayer. And I'm going to tell you this, you are not alone. So there's somewhere that God is whispering to your son. God is whispering for him to put that down. And I encourage people to write things down. And I'm so proud of him writing that down. Because writing it down allows his mind to open up to see the reality of what is happening. Because thoughts flow in your head. It's like a race in your head. And as it go in your head, if you don't extract it out, you don't see the reality of it. So at this very point in his life, he already extract the very thing that is distracting him. And mark my word, as I say this today on this episode, today will be the last day he will write that something is distracting him. Today is the day. He wrote that down and it's already float. It's already in the ears of God. It's already in the ears of God because he wrote it. But you, as the mother, you, as the vessel, will read it out loud. Please read that whole thing out loud. You read it, I just wrote it. Now, what happened to it is going to go back to God's ears. As we claim today, as the last day, he will find that autism is a distraction to him. He will make a step further than what he did yesterday because he has faith. I have faith. I have faith. I believe. If I don't do anything, I believe. So today is his last day because it's already declared. He already put it out that it is a distraction. You can't go further with distraction. Too much distraction don't put you ahead. So we declare that he goes further. We declare that he accepts the fact that something is distracting him. And we declare that that distraction will no longer be a distraction to him. That he will move a step further into the very thing that he so desires to achieve. And that is, what is it, sis? What is it that he needs to achieve? His degree. He's going to go. And I'm not even trying to waver my faith. No way, no how. I am not even trying to waver my faith. It's already poured out. It already raised back up. It already floating. I'm not wavering my faith because he's going to accomplish that which is spoken. That which is spoken. There's no limitation to God. God is not in a box. God is not in a box. So will not put your son in a box. Society cannot put him in a box either because there's no box. Yes. So audience, if you do have any more questions, because we're about to wind down this episode, because we might have to have her back. Yeah, I'm just saying.
Thank you so much.
You know, it is great to have you. It is great to have you because your story might just be a solution to somebody else. Your story might just put a smile on somebody else's face because so many people are out there with distraction. So many people are out there with struggling. So many people are in situation. So many people thinking and convincing themselves that they are alone. But you showing up here today, I oftentimes says that when you show up, you don't show up for yourself. You don't just show up for your husband or your son. You show up for a whole generation. You show up for those who are out there struggling.
Yeah.
This first story will bring a smile to them. I want to thank you so very much.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yes.
And I am on Facebook and
Yeah, give your social media information so they can find you and get in touch with you. And Theta is going to get in touch with you as well regarding the letterboard method and something. Yes. So as we pause this episode, is there any last message you want to give to the parent, the caregiver, for those who are in a limitation?
No, I just want to say, don't give up, don't despair, because right now there's a lot of help out there.
Yes.
It was a lot of help that wasn't there when Kwame and I started this journey. And so, please, definitely, if you're feeling frustrated or you have a friend that's feeling frustrated, don't don't hesitate to find me on Facebook. I'm always glad to network and make suggestions based on my experience. I'm sorry, allergies.
No, don't worry. I go through that too. I'm like, I'll be sitting there like, oh Lord, allergy season's real bad up in here. Yep.
Yeah, but yeah, please. Can I give my phone number out?
Yes.
Okay, my
That's up
phone
to you
number
if you
is
want to give it out. Yes, please and thanks. If you want.
703-606-7963.
Okay, audience, did you get that? Did you get that? She just gave you a phone. Gave it. Say it again, Sister Jane, so they can.
703-606-7963.
There you go. So, audience, you can find her on social media. She is there. Please get in touch. Please don't struggle by yourself. Please don't feel like all distraction are here to stop you. Some distraction are lessons. So let us learn the lesson. Let us learn them well, and let us move forward so we can define success. Success, again, is not defined by one person, but is defined by us working together. Together. And together we will stand. Together we will grow. Together we will build. Together we will replenish the earth. Sister Jane, together we will believe. We will believe. So, audience, I want to thank you so very much. Wait, I see a first timer. Kevin, welcome. Welcome, 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 Kevin. Welcome. First timer. Yes, please share this live. For those of you who are out there, those of you who are caregiver, please remember you are not alone. So I want to acknowledge those in the audience: Sharon, Georgia, Kevin, Theta, Walter Barnes, Chris, Yasmin, Amina. I want to thank you all for showing up here today. It is wonderful to have you. We are all over the place. We are in UK. We are all over. This is one big family. We are here for you, Sister Jane, and we just want to celebrate you as we move right along. Again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for sharing your story as we send peace and blessing to your home. To your home. Audience, thank you. We hope to see you next week. Same time, same place. We don't know. Maybe we will have I won't say. Maybe we'll have Sister Jane again. You never know. But we will close out next week, April. Oh my goodness, April is finished. We will close out next week with another guest, or you never know what will happen next week. So see you next week, same time, same place, as we continue to go into topics that we want to bring awareness, we want to acknowledge, we want to celebrate people as we go along. Thank you again for being here, wonderful people. Don't forget to smile with someone. Your smile might just save the life of someone. See you on the next go round.
Bye.
Bye now. Thank you, audience, for being here. You have done well.